Good morning. Here I am at the start of the Millennium Way. It's a 100-mile journey from Northamptonshire to Worcester. This is day one and I'm starting in the village of Middleton, Cheney in Northamptonshire, not far from Banbury, just outside of the Church of All Saints, which you can see behind me. I think I'd just better go and find where the start is and get on with it. Middleton Cheney is a large village, almost a small town, but all I saw of it were its old church and the cottages surrounding it. I missed its two pubs, its football club, and on this quiet Sunday morning, most of its 4,000 inhabitants. Like many places hereabouts, it's got a long history going back to the Domesday Book and was originally a farming community, but now serves as a commuter retreat for those people working in Banbury, Oxford and beyond. The lovely old church, All Saints, has windows designed by William Morris, the founder of the arts and crafts movement, and enjoys a steady pilgrimage of fans as a result. I'd intended to see the windows for myself, but Sunday worship was in progress and I couldn't get in. A nice place to start any walk, I think, and I left there feeling very relaxed. Well, we've just left Middleton Cheney. It's supposed to be the biggest village in Northamptonshire, but I must have skirted just round the edge of it, and we've hit open countryside. I suspect today is going to be a lot of field walking, but at this time of the year, in this sort of weather, that's okay. That's pleasant. No hills, that's the main thing. Rapeseed. If there's one thing guaranteed to give me hay fever, it's rapeseed, and this is the time of the year for it, of course. And I haven't taken any Piriton, so I think I'm going to be Mr. Sneezy today. As you can see behind me, the fields are full of it. It looks nice, but I can already feel the effects. First moment of doubt, really. It says on the instructions, cross the stile in the corner of the field, which is over there, and then go half right across the next field to the road. Okay. There is no half right. This is new crop, so it must have recently been ploughed up. I'm going to have to walk around the edge of the field there and guess that the road is over there and that there's a stile. When I said there was no hills, I lied. There are always hills, but there's hills and then there's hills. And, well, this is not a big hill, just a slow, steady climb. But it does afford a nice view. That's what I've just come up. It's hardly Offa's Dyke, it certainly isn't the West Highland Way. I'm still out of breath, mind. This is where I err on the side of caution. You can see there's a lot of calves with their mothers over there. There's an electric fence which I would either have to limbo dance under or risk frying my tackle by climbing over. And it actually says, basically, caution, Mardy cows with their offspring. So, I don't fancy this, because I don't think I can get over that fence anyway. They look a bit tasty. So, I'm going to go this way and bypass it, and then hope I can get back on track down the bottom. It's one of those things, can't be helped. If it weren't for the electric fence, I'd go through it, but I ain't clambering under that. Not built for it. Well, that wasn't particularly friendly. I couldn't get through that electric fence. Even if I could, there was cows with calves and they were a bit bothered by me being there. So I thought I'll go down the next field. Except I'm not sure they get on too well because the fields are all separated by double barbed wire and double gates. So I was probably trespassing. It took me a while to find a way through, but I eventually did. But the annoying thing is, just over here, along that hedge line, which is where I came in, there's an electric fence. And it's right up against the hedge. Now, if you'd have just left a 3-foot gap between that hedge and the electric fence, then walkers would have been able to carry on all the way down the side of the field. The cows would have been protected. Everyone would have been happy. Sometimes they're just bloody minded. You know, that if they don't want people on their land, then apply to have it path moved or something.
Okay, yes, I was a bit miffed at that point, but I carried on walking and the sun shone, the birds sang, and eventually my mood lifted.
Well, it's 11:25 now. That means I've been walking for about 2.5 hours, which probably means that I'm at least halfway through the walk today. It's going okay. I did get held up a little bit for half an hour maybe, because of the electric fence and the cow shenanigans. And I'm not really sure what's going on here because this is all new. All of this stuff, look. I'm not sure what they're building here. It looks like a new road or something. So it doesn't have any relationship at all to what the directions are telling me to do, because this wasn't here when they were written. But according to my GPS app, I am on the right route. So I guess I have to trust that for the time being and see where we end up. And I'll stop for lunch in about an hour or so. We're doing okay though. It's all good fun.
The fields are quiet today and peaceful, but that's not always been the case. 500 years ago, the Great Battle took place here, part of the War of the Roses, where the Lancastrians met the Yorkists at the Battle of Edgecote Moor in 1492. It was a bloody battle and one of the turning points of the war, and a decisive victory for the Lancastrians. It was reported that over 2,000 foot soldiers and 100 of Britain's nobility perished in the battle.
Well, sadly my route doesn't take me that way, but there's a working water mill there, look. You can hear it. Ah, the wheel's behind those trees now. There's a great big wheel being turned. You can just about make it out there. But that ain't the way I'm going to go, I'm afraid. This is fairly typical of what I've been walking through. Those woods on the skyline there, that's where I stopped for lunch. It's not been demanding walking, that's for sure, but it's been pleasant. Oh, there's some walkers up there. Look, that's the first I've seen all day. Hooey! Shall I run up and catch up with them? Nah, let's not. So I go up there, and then hopefully not too far away, Chipping Warden is just beyond that field, I hope anyway, because that's where I want to stop and have a pint. I don't normally stop and have drinks when I'm walking, but I've made it a rule on this walk that I'm going to. So a pint of cider, I think. There are some lovely views on this walk. Here's one of them. Now, you wouldn't say it was spectacular, would you? But it's certainly beautiful.
And so eventually I found my way into the second village of today's walk, Chipping Warden, where I treated myself to that pint of cider that I'd been talking about. I chose the Griffin Inn, but only because it was the first pub that I came across in the village. There was another one, the Pheasants, which I didn't visit. Within 5 minutes of sitting down, half the men in the village turned up on push bikes. They'd been out on some sort of jolly, and they all started clamouring for pints and buying crisps noisily. Well, never mind, it had been peaceful for 5 minutes. I remember Chipping Warden from many years before, where I used to have to go to swap my management vehicles out, and from what I could see, very little has changed in that time. It's a much smaller village than Middleton, Cheney. It's only got about 500 houses, and from what I could make out, those villagers that weren't on push bikes were attending the local village fete. I was invited in, but sadly I was on a tight schedule and I had to turn down the offer of tea and cake. The village is bordered on two sides by the River Cherwell, and also has a Roman villa and an Iron Age fort within walking distance. So if I wasn't on such a tight schedule, I could have easily spent the whole afternoon here. As it was, I just had time to visit the lovely old church before moving on.
I have to say, this bit's a little bit overgrown. As they describe it, it's a spinney. Actually, it took me a while to find this bit. A couple of young girls belonged to that farm, I think, stood at the end of the field. They're going, "It's the wrong way, it's the wrong way," because I was going the wrong way. They were quite right. They stalked me for a few minutes, like a sort of hide and seek thing. They've gone now. I think I'll need a machete to get through this in a minute. Anyway, I've just had a nice pint at the Griffin Inn, Chipping Warden, and I'm on the last leg now. Next stop will be Upper Boddington, and hopefully my car, and that'll be day one completed. Not too bad actually, it's quite a good walk today. Legs don't feel too tired. Nothing's given up yet, no blisters. So I can give myself a week or two to recover and then do stage 2. Well, if you thought that earlier field of rape was claustrophobic and hemming you in, look at this. I've seen children of the corn. I've got every reason to be worried. Any minute now something's going to grab my legs and I'm going to disappear forever. Well, I've just had a similar experience to the one I had a week or two back with my brother. I went through a meadow full of cows with calves. To say they were skittish is an understatement. The trouble is, whenever you scare cows, they always run in the direction that you want to go. So they always end up congregated around the stile that you actually want to get over. So then they're convinced that you're after them because you're walking in their direction, so they run again. Didn't like it very much. Quite glad to get out of it, to be honest. I'm not a cow lover at the best of times, but when they've got babies, it just makes it even more tasty. Didn't help, there was a bull in the field as well. Not that he took any notice. Anyway, I got through it, and I'm hoping that I'm on the last couple of miles now. Okay, great. Obviously it's a fence, but I didn't think it was. So, back to view, Ranger. See you in a bit.
Well, I managed to find my way out of that one and carry on. And the miles went by, the fields went by, the day wore on. Has to be said that eventually it started to take its toll, and I did start to get a little bit tired, especially when the way markers disappeared, along with the tracks across the fields.
Well, I must admit I'm getting tired now. It's been a long day. Either that or I'm not as fit as I used to be, but it's been hot, sunny, and yeah, my legs are aching. My back's aching, I've never had that before. And my feet are getting a bit sore, so I think 12 miles is about right, and hopefully I should be on the last mile of it now. I'm on the footpath to Lower Boddington. After that it's Upper Boddington, and that's the end of the journey. Enjoyed it. It's been a beautiful walk. Never been out here before. I can recommend it. It's not exactly challenging walking, but it's still a long old slog, especially when you get lost a few times like I did, nettles, and you get forced into detours a few times. And of course, encounters with cows are always entertaining, aren't they? Right, I'm getting stung, so I'm going to switch a video off for a second.
I was glad to see Lower Boddington come into view, but the thing is, Lower Boddington means there's an Upper Boddington, and that can only mean one thing, and at the end of a long day, I didn't really want to face another hill, but I didn't have much choice.
Oh boy. Oh, that last section was horrible. All the paths have been obscured by ploughed up fields and planting. All the signs disappeared. I spent ages going across 3 huge fields. I didn't know where I was going. It was only the GPS that sorted it out for me, but it was hot as well under the sun. And then the last bit, from Lower Boddington to Upper Boddington, clues in the name, is all uphill. I've just about got to the top of it now. So, an energetic end to the day. Well, I'm sure it'll make me better at some point. It's got to be doing me good. There is some reward for all the climbing, of course. I'm back up high again. This is the final stretch into Upper Boddington. I can't really complain at that, can I? Worth the effort. And the Upper Boddington is just beyond that bend, I hope.
Ah, at last Upper Boddington. How pleased I was to see that place. It's a lovely village, another one of those commuter villages that run alongside the M40 corridor. Nothing much happens here, of course. It's a quiet place, although it does play host to Team GCR, which is a successful motor racing team, apparently. For me, it meant the end of the day's journey, and the chance to sit down and relax, and look forward to day 2 of the Millennium Way.